Okay, now that we've got our extensions installed, let's take a look at the pieces that we'll use to extrude and use the other extensions on to create the pieces of our house. Our house is going to be 10 inches wide. From front to back is going to be a maximum of about 4 inches, a little more for the roof. And each story is going to be 3 inches tall. Our bay window and our chimney are each going to be sticking out about an inch. The bay window will form from a part of an octagon, and we'll also have a balcony level. This balcony level will be a ½ inch thick, but this part right here will be extruded in such a way that this will be the shape of the balcony that's in front of this door. There's also a patio or a front area that comes out in front of the door. So that would be this part over here. This is our foundation level. If you can imagine looking at it from the top down, you'll get the idea of what we're looking at. It's going to fit underneath the main part of the house. Keep in mind this is top down and the house is front view. And it will fit underneath the chimney. We're going to extrude that a ½ inch. We're going to extrude the first floor 3 inches, the second floor 3 inches, and the balcony level, which is in between our 2 stories, is going to be a ½ inch extrusion. The chimney will be a 1 inch extrusion. The first floor, again, I made it it was a rectangle, 10 inches wide, only 3½ inches deep though. I'm off by 1/100 of an inch here. I'm not going to worry about 1/100 of an inch, to be honest, when I'll correct the file for you guys. The reason I made it thinner than the 4 inches of the top is because I want the balcony level, which is also going to be like this. It's basically the same depth as the second level. I wanted it to stick out along this edge at ½ inch over the first level. Just have a little bit of a cover, just a little bit of depth to the second level over the first. Okay, I had mentioned that my measurements were off just a little tiny bit. They're correct now, and the difference was under Edit, Preferences, Tools. I need to have a geometric bounding box so it doesn't include the thickness of the stroke when it tells me how wide a path is. So you might want to check that on yours as well. The balcony, or sorry, the bay window, this part that sticks out here, what I did is I drew an octagon, and that octagon I sliced off just the top of it to create this balcony level here. I know that this is 3½ inches high on this piece. So when I made my octagon, I have 8 corners, and I'm holding down my control key to keep it nice and flat, but you'll notice that it's very difficult to get this orthogonal to the screen. So I'm going to Control Z that. And I'm going to come back up to my preferences. And under behavior, steps, instead of having a rotation of snaps every 15 degrees, I'm going to make that 7.5. And we'll close this. Now when I come over to my octagon shape and then hold down my control key, I can make it orthogonal to the screen. All right. The other thing, I want to make sure that I have my opacity set up so it doesn't end up being nothing. All right, so the second thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change this to a path with Control-Shift-C, and I'm going to change the size to reflect the size we need for our bay window. So we know it needs to be 3.5 inches. Also, it needs to be locked proportionally. Then I can press Tab, and we now have the piece that we need to be able to make our balcony piece. So all I did with that one was to use my node tool. I selected these nodes and pressed Control-Delete. Just to be safe, I also press Control-Shift+ because I want to make sure that all of that it's a closed path. And with all of my nodes selected, I'm going to make sure they're all straight. So make selected nodes lines. Just click on that right there. After I did that, then all I needed to do was make my rectangle, change it to a path, and change the size to 10. I made it proportional, so we don't want it proportional because we want it to be exactly 3.5. Select this, press Control-Shift-A to bring up your alignment panel and center it. Turn on snapping, and with this piece, with snapping on, hold down your Control key and just pull this out until it snaps. Select both pieces and Control-Shift+. That gives us the piece that I constructed for the main floor. When this is extruded, it will have this shape, only it will be a box that's 3 inches deep. And we'll get to that. I don't need this piece, I just wanted to show you how I made it. The foundation was just a rectangle with a square for the porch area that I did a union of the two pieces with a Control-Shift+, and so it will be like this and the porch will stick out from the front door. I think you should be able to do that one. This one did exactly the same way, only this time I used a 12-sided polygon to make this one, and basically cut it in half, and then I made the rectangle, which was 10 by 4, and unioned them into a single path. I'm going to keep this piece though, this decorative piece, because if I want to put like some special tiles or something like that on the balcony, this could be used for a special decorative paper. This little piece here is just a small square that I can extrude should I choose to put columns underneath my balcony and down to my porch. I've also got these window pieces. It was arbitrary. I didn't come up with an exact size for these, but I can show you pretty quickly how to make these window frames. So we'll take a look at that very shortly. The chimney, I just drew a shape of a chimney that I liked. There wasn't any particular planning in it, and then I decided it would be about 1 inch thick because that looks about right. The tallest I can make it is 11 inches, so that it will fit when I want to go cut it. So I left it at that. I mounted it on the foundation to give it just a little bit extra height because we don't want our chimney ending right at our roof. Don't want to start any fires, even in a paper house. We'll also have doors. We'll have 2 doors altogether, one on the first floor, one on the second floor, and I think that's it. So real quick, how do we make these window frames? Let's take the size of the window cutout this piece here. That's the size I decided I wanted my window to be. I'm going to copy that. I'm going to bring up a new file here. And I'm going to paste that. I do have a stroke applied, and there is a fill, so I'm going to take off the fill. I'm just going to click on the X over here. I'm going to duplicate this because I want to work with a duplicate. Then the next thing I want to do is make the stroke about the width that I would like my window frame to be. So Control-Shift-F to bring up our fill and stroke panel. On the stroke style, just change your line width to, I don't know, maybe 1/10 of an inch. 0.11, that's fine. I'm not sure if this is what I used in the one on the house, but we're going to use it here just for demonstration. Then with your Bezier tool, press B to get the Bezier tool. Draw a straight line down, holding your Control key, double click to end it. Click over on the other side, hold your Control key down, double click. And then with those two lines selected, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to make that also thick. Now, you can play with the thickness of these lines, of the strokes. The main thing we want to do here is to select these two crossbars, Control-Shift-A to your Align panel, and line them up. Control-K to make them a single object. Then you can take that path that you just made and the frame. We'll align those. Control-K, sorry, to make it all in one path. So now we have our window frame. And this would be the size of the hole that we would cut out. If I wanted to make a vellum piece, I might duplicate that, give it some color, and then outset it with a Control Open Parent. A little bit. This part isn't really critical unless you have your windows super close together, in which case you don't want to make it too outset. Send this to the back and turn off my snapping so that we can see that we could put this on the inside of the house, and then on the outside of the house we could have our frame, and then the light could shine through from inside the house. So back to our house design. I think we've covered everything. The door is done pretty much the same way. The door frame is just a variation on the window frame, so should be able to do that. And I think that covers everything. The dormer windows up here and the roof are all part of a different extension, so I don't have pieces for that. We'll get to that when we do the roof maker extension. All right, so that's what we did for planning the house. I hope it was reasonably clear. Obviously, you can design your house you like. If you want to have shutters, like we have these little shutters here, you can add them on, you can leave them off. If you want your balcony to be a different shape, or you want your balcony level to overhang even more, just change the shape that you're going to extrude, and that will take care of it. All right, so we're going to Control S and save this file so that we know what we're going to be working with, and we can draw our pieces onto our new files as we get to them to do the extrude, or to do our cutouts for our windows and our doors and the rest of it.